The Petal update and Dress and Press is so expensive, so divas, let me help you out with that and teach you how to farm currency quickly. And you want to be quick if you want to buy all of these new amazing items from the update. And there is so much to buy. We have the Grunge collection, which costs 6,000 currency. We have the Wild West set, which is 7,400. And we have the Withered Rose set, which is 5,200. And I would definitely recommend you to get this one immediately because it's perfect. But that's only the clothing. We also have the Petal Pose pack, which is 5,000, but not to mention the walks. We have 6 walks ranging from 4,500 to a whopping 9,000. And if you have an unfortunately expensive taste like me, you will want the attitude walk, which is gonna take forever to save up. So let me teach you the best ways to get cash quickly. And all of these update items together cost over 60,000 currency. And if you're watching this video, I know that you don't have that kind of money. So I'm gonna be sharing the ultimate methods and tips and tricks with you divas. So if you're excited for this, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. But now let's get started. Before we get started though, look at my currency. Look at my currency. I just got myself the 3 clothing packs, so I am dead broke. I urgently really need this, so let's get started. But before we do anything, we need to pick the perfect pose for this. And if you're unfamiliar with farming cash, you maybe have seen people do it and you just didn't really know what they were up to. So usually in free play, maybe you've seen people just kind of zoom past you while they were on the floor, and maybe you were wondering what they were doing. Well, they're doing exactly what we will be doing right now, but in a really efficient way. So when you're collecting currency, you want as much contact with the floor as possible, and when you're just standing, you only have this little contact point, which is barely any bigger than the currency itself, so you could walk past it very easily and then not collect it, which is not what we want. So we want to position ourselves to be as close to the ground as possible, so we have a really wide surface area. And to do that, there is one pose in particular that a lot of people use, and that is the So Julia pose from the Brat pose pack. So I will be using this one. I always use this one, but don't worry if you don't have the Brat pose pack, because I know that the update has been a while ago and some of you might not have it. So I do also have alternatives from more recent pose packs. So a couple of quite good similar ones are in the Winter pose pack, because this one has a lot of poses on the floor. So you can go with the Holly pose, so that also positions you to be on the floor like this. We also have the Peppermint pose, which is actually very similar to So Julia. And we also have the Sugar Cookie pose, which is pretty similar as well. So those could all work. But also if you don't have this pose pack either, just pick something that is kind of similar to this sort of vibe. But do not, and I repeat, do not use the belly flop pose, and I'm gonna show you why. So let's go find some currency in this pose. So let's go for this one, and I'm gonna approach it and see what happens. I just go under it. I do not collect it, because you can quite literally just walk under it in this pose. It does not work, so you definitely need a pose that is slightly raised from the ground. So let's go into So Julia, and that's gonna collect it. You just need a bit of contact with it from your upper or mid body as well. So now we're all set to actually start collecting currency, but I also need to talk about game passes. So I'm gonna talk about game passes that help you out with this slightly, but don't worry if you don't have them, because they're not really essential. 2 very obvious game passes that help with this are the Run Faster, so you gather cash quicker, especially if you're in a public server and there's other people, so you have to compete for the cash with them, and this just makes you a little bit faster, so it gives you an advantage as well. And obviously 2 times money, that's very helpful, very clearly. And another game pass that you might not really consider helpful is actually VIP, because that gives you 1 extra room where you can collect currency, and VIP room has a bit of cash in there, not an excessive amount, but it's useful to collect it if you're broke like I am. But again, don't worry if you don't have any of these game passes, it just makes things a little bit quicker. But if you have a bit of patience and a bit of extra time, you don't really need any of these. But if I would have to recommend one, obviously for this purpose I would recommend this one. So now we can actually get started with collecting the cash. So I'm just gonna collect everything like this, and if you see yellow cash, grab it immediately, because that gives you a lot. I just got 32 cash, and I'm currently playing in my own private server, so it is really helpful to use private servers. You can just go into public free play servers, but you maybe will be competing with other people for cash, because I think that pretty much everyone is farming cash right now. So it's gonna be a little bit harder if you have like 4 or 5 people doing this at the same time. So currency will get grabbed up really quickly. So if you have your own private server, or you know someone someone who has a server, I would definitely recommend that you go there. But if you do not, don't worry about it. You can do this in a free play public server, but again, it maybe will be a little bit harder because there's most likely going to be other people doing this as well. But another tip that I would recommend is going to Discord if you have it. And even in the official Dress to Impress Discord, there are farming servers, which are for stars mostly, but you can also gather cash in there, and a lot of people in there are AFK, so there won't really be as much competition, which is great. But I have just finished my first round of collecting currency, so we can just wait for a little bit for everything to respawn, which is kind of relatively quick. There was a bug after the update where there was less cash and it was spawning much slower, but they have tuned that since then, luckily, so we're back to normal cash rates, which is always lovely. And see, I already gathered like 200 currency. Do keep in mind though that I have 2 times currency, so for you this would be kind of half as much, so you would have around 100. I did a little experiment and did the math, so when you're just collecting everything in a private server like this, so you're by yourself, you can get around on average between 60 and 100 currency in just a couple of minutes, which is pretty decent, especially if you also get a bit of yellow cash, so you get lucky and you get a bit of extra. But I see that the cash has respawned, so let's start. And after a while of doing this, you will find your own pattern of doing this, so it's not really going to be as intense on the mind to figure out where you have to go. It'll just get kind of automized. You will just walk in the same circles and it's just going to be easy, and then in like half an hour of just running in a circle, you will get a lot of currency. Right now I'm feeling a little bit rusty because I still haven't like established my pattern, but I'm going like in a circle, going around the edges of the map. So I'm going like this, and then I typically go this way across and collect over here. So I have like a general idea. I just need a bit of warming up, I guess, but after a while you'll just kind of get used to it and just automatically go where you need to go to be the most efficient and collect everything in one go, so you don't have to go back and forth. Definitely do not, and I repeat, do not ignore the salon, because a lot of cash is spawning here. It used to be in just 3-4 spots, now it's a little bit more after the update, which is pretty good. So don't forget this area because quite a few cash shows up here. It has spawned now, so look, that's so much. You definitely don't want to ignore any of that, so let's grab everything. And of course, let's say thank you to Lana for giving us the money. Thank you, Lana. Another thing that I want to mention is that you can technically collect money from just playing the game, and if you get a lot of stars you will get more cash, but it's honestly not that much. Each round is 7 minutes and you have around 2-3 minutes to vote. That's like 10 minutes or so to get maybe 65 cash if you get on the podium. I would say that that's not worth it, because in less than half of that time you get that much money in free play. I really don't think that just playing rounds for gathering currency is that worth it, but if you do want to play rounds, especially in the farming servers that I mentioned, then definitely collect the currency around the map while you're in the round. But let's do something a little bit different now. I went away from my private replay mode server and I'm gonna go to a regular mode server to try a bit of a different method, so let's go in there. So I'm currently in the lobby and I'm gonna be here by myself because the game is waiting for 3 other players, which are not coming, so I'm gonna be here forever until I decide to leave, which is pretty helpful because we have a bit of cash around here as well. So sure, if you have a bit of patience you can go and collect all the money around here, but the main reason why we're in here is the obby. So let's go and pass to the other side because we have a lot of cash around here. So let's just complete this. Oh, okay, I'm pretty bad at this, so let's just try one more time. Okay, let's just complete this real quick. Oh,
one eternity later.
Anyway, as I was trying to say, let's just complete this real quick. And now we landed in here and I'm gonna get into my pose. So let's go for the Julia pose. And I can collect all of this currency around here, which is pretty nice. And if you're just gonna wait and camp here, the currency will respawn just like it does in normal servers. So let's just wait for a little while and we'll get all of that cash spawn in, and then we can collect it. And you can honestly stay here as long as you want. Just keep collecting that currency. But this method does rely on going to a private server where you are just alone, or maybe just with like another 1 or 2 people. As long as it doesn't reach 4, you should be good if you're willing to share. If not, it's ideal to be here by yourself. However, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this if you want this to be quicker. I think that the better method is to go into a free play mode server because you can collect more cash. It does require more effort because you have to walk around the map and not just go back and forth like this, but you get a little bit more on average from this area, unless unless you get a bit of yellow currency. You get like 40 to 60 currency per refresh, which honestly isn't that much. You can get a little bit more in free play servers. Yes, with a little bit more effort, but I feel like it's kind of more fun at the very least because you're walking around a free play server, so the time doesn't really feel as slow. And right now, I'm waiting for this to respawn for so long, and there's really not that much to do around here unless you want to go back and forth through the obby, which I don't want to do because I'm so bad at them. But there, our money has respawned, so let's collect all of that. And it's a decent method if you have a bit of patience, but like I said, free play is, in my opinion, a little bit better, a little bit more rewarding. But those are all the tips that I have for you, and I hope that you learned something new and that it's going to help you get currency a little bit faster. And just from these couple of minutes, couple of rounds around free play and a little bit hanging out in the obby area, we got around 700 currency, which is pretty good. And without the game pass for double money, that'll be somewhere around 300, 350, which is also pretty decent for about 10-15 minutes. So if you just do this for like half an hour, you can already probably afford yourself one of the new things from the update. So good luck, get farming, and I hope you'll buy everything that you want really soon. And if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe so you don't miss any future Petal update videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!